session about some accelerators for startups in the Cambridge area. Today we've heard a lot from presenters everywhere, from people that have their own companies in some sort of biotech industry to people that are implementing different research ideas or technologies in clinical situations. And we're going to hear from a couple people today who will tell us a little bit more about resources that are available in Cambridge to help students, early career researchers, entrepreneurs take their ideas from its idea phase all the way through a tangible product in a company. So as Coco said, we're going to start out with Jason Mellad. He's the CEO of Start Codon. Start Codon is a life science accelerator located in the heart of Cambridge that promotes funding and support to rapidly translate the most disruptive and innovative research into successful startup companies. So take it away, Jason.
Just before we start, I'm getting some messages from people that there's echo happening. Is that frequent for a lot of different people? If you post in the chat whether or not you've got echo happening.
Sometimes it sounds like there's echo if you have two tabs open accidentally and then they're talking to each other and then it sounds echoey. So maybe check to see if you have two tabs open. That happened to one of us earlier.
Yeah. Some Wi-Fi disruption could be on your end.
We're plugged into Ethernet. I don't think it's Wi-Fi.
I've got from Nick, and the echo appears to come from my computer. I don't know if it is coming from my computer. Is anyone else in here, or do they have Zoom open with microphones or something?
Would we get bad feedback if we did?
No? Okay. I'm sorry guys, I don't know if we can sort that out. It might be something just in the transmittance. But in any case, we now have Jason, who I am now pulling up as a panelist. Jason, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Hello. Hi, so let me see if I can. Sorry, I'm just trying to share my.
That's okay, take your time.
Screen.
Sometimes you have to change your privacy settings.
Okay, yes, apologies.
No problem.
I hope everyone's enjoying this conference.
Social media posting, hashtag BBMS 20. Where'd you go, Jason? There he is. Promoting him to a panelist now.
Okay, shall we try this again?
Yes, let's go.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Excellent. All right, everyone, I'm going to take you through the background of Start Codon and explain how we believe we can help more companies start something amazing. So just to give you an overview of Start Codon, we're a strategic initiative that really got up and running this year, but has been about a year and a half in the making. And the philosophy behind Start Codon is that we feel as a team, we bring together expertise and experience required to help more companies find success in the biotech arena. So essentially, we're investing in life science companies, trying to give them guidance and support so that they can secure a Series A investment once they've graduated from our program. Cambridge as a whole, as everybody will be familiar with, is one of Europe's largest, or is Europe's largest technology clusters, and one of the largest and most successful in the world, particularly in biotech. Second and third, rather, to only MIT and Stanford. And this slide demonstrates for the viewers and attendees just how many exciting opportunities have come from the Cambridge ecosystem, even within the last 5 years, let alone the history that we have with Alexa, Cambridge Antibody Technologies, etc. We know that there are several successful biotechs that have spun out of the university or have founded themselves in the Cambridge ecosystem who have gone on to measurable success with great exits, great partnership deals, and significant fundraisers. However, the challenge that we face is that there's a significant equity gap. There are several accelerator programs which we consider to be quite early stage in the region, but there hasn't been one that gives a significant amount of guidance as well as capital to help bridge that gap from these early programs to what a Series A investor is expecting to see before actually opening their checkbook. That's where we come in as a one-stop shop for office and lab space, investment, and introduction to VCs, as well as a very extensive mentor network. And that is at the essence of Codon's platform. So ultimately, we aim to be Cambridge's first world-class healthcare accelerator. We've taken inspiration from healthcare accelerators in the States and elsewhere that have been successful, such as IndieBio and Y Combinator. But we are focused on the unique opportunities we have in the Cambridge ecosystem. Now, importantly, we're not solely focused on Cambridge companies. We are looking at companies from across the UK, across Europe, and even across the globe who want to locate to Cambridge because of all the resources that we have to bear to help them be successful. Our vision is that we bring these companies in wherever they come from, we get them up and running, and hopefully they'll stay and grow and scale here in the local region. So traditional accelerator models, we have landscaped hundreds of different accelerators, both from primary market research as well as secondary market research, and found that many of them are relatively hands-off. You enter these programs, they have seminars, they might provide a small amount of funding, they give a couple of workshops as well, and then there's typically a demo day at the end of the program. So those are all pretty standard. But we feel that most of these programs are one size fits all, and the lab space and office space that they provide can tend to be pretty standard, but we don't feel that it's sufficient to actually get these companies across that Series A finish line and set them up for the success that they could have in the future. And that's where Codon comes in. So not only do we offer the significantly more than these accelerators do, at £250,000 per company, we're also based in the Milner Therapeutic Institute, and we provide hands-on weekly and daily support for that 6-month period that the companies are with us. And we feel that this is making all the difference when it comes to preparing them to flourish and thrive once they've left the program, as opposed to simply putting them through an incubator time frame and not ensuring that they're actually going to accelerate as we intend. So we have a team of 5 individuals, and we all come from a variety of backgrounds, which is complementary. So I have my co-founder, Dan Rook, who is a solicitor and corporate lawyer who has been in the biotech arena for several years. Dan has completed over 300 different M&A and venture deals and brings all of that experience to bear in the program. We have Sakura Holloway, who's our head of diligence. She's also a trained patent attorney, originally from Australia, and formerly the chief IP officer for Benetech Pharma in Australia. Michael Salako, who's also at CRUK, and part of our partnership with Cancer Research UK to help drive innovation in oncology lends itself to working with their team more closely. So Michael brings his expertise from drug development as well as business development into Codon, so we can use that for our diligence and supporting companies. And then finally, Sylvia Baldone, who's really the heart of the company. She helps us keep our wheels from falling off, and she's our program and partnerships manager who helps us forge relationships with various CROs and law offices and other partners who support our companies. So quite a diverse team with, as I said, complementary skill sets. And we feel that we have each experienced the growth phase of very successful startup companies, and we're trying to leverage that experience for the next generation that we invest in. We're headquartered in the heart of the ecosystem on the biomedical campus. Again, as I said, in the Milner Therapeutic Institute, in the Jeffrey Chia building, so state-of-the-art office and lab space. And we have several partners across Cambridge and London, and even increasingly in Oxford, which grant our companies the opportunity to hot desk and access other resources when they're traveling and setting up meetings. We also have an extensive network of CRO partners, as I mentioned, who offer either preferential rates or deferred fees, as well as mentorship and guidance to our companies to help them figure out what their killer experiments are and get them done quickly and efficiently. The offer is 8% equity is taken up front so that we can actually reflect the value that we give as being running these companies through the Accelerator program. We then provide £250,000, 50,000 pounds of which is in-kind support. And that 250K is given as a safe agreement, which converts at Series A to additional equity. So on average, we end up with around 10% equity at Series A. We invest between 8 and 12 portfolio companies per year, divided into 2 cohorts of 6 months each. So we've already invested in our first 4 companies, and they are with us for 6 months. And then the next cohort will begin in August for another 6 months. After that phase, they grad from Start Codon. We try to find them in advance homes with office and lab space for the future. And then we also make sure that we have prepared them to hopefully secure a Series A term sheet within a year of starting with our program. All of our companies with not only the infrastructure they need to perform their experiments, but also an extensive network of pharma partners. We ourselves are supported by Roche and Genentech, as well as Novartis, but through the Milner, we have access to these other major pharma players in their consortium, including AstraZeneca, GSK, J&J, Pfizer, and many others. We can also draw on an extensive network of scientific advisors who are affiliated with the Milner to help us diligence our companies, as well as support them once they're in the program and moving forward when they've graduated. We focus on very high potential investments, so we're particularly keen on disruptive platforms. And broadly, we look at therapeutic, diagnostic, medtech, and digital health startups. So a really wide remit, all life science focused on healthcare. And as I said, not just limited to companies coming from Cambridge or even indeed coming from a university background. We are very open-minded to where we source these high potential investments. And we run what we feel is a very unique and innovative program. So we start off with a boot camp, which adds to a gap analysis that we run the companies through as they are going through our diligence process. So we can understand on an individual basis what extra support and specialized care, essentially, they'll need to be able to hit the milestones required by a serious Series A investor. Every week, we have a deep dive into each company as an agile scrum system is what we run. So you can imagine if we have 5 companies, Monday is company A, Tuesday is company B, Wednesday is company C, so on and so forth. And then every week, we keep track of their milestones and push them to make sure that they're hitting them and exceeding expectations. Unlike other accelerators where they tend to be a bit more hands-off, we want to make sure that we're in lockstep with those companies and that they feel that we're extensions of their team. But importantly, we're teaching them how to fish. We don't want to just spoon feed them results or do the work for them. We want to instill in them the skills they need to be successful going forward. This slide just gives an overview of what our program looks like to summarize what I said. First week is a boot camp. Then we have the 6 months of bespoke program. We have a demo day that we run in partnership with One Nucleus and the Milner that we have twice a year. And during these demo days is when our companies will be able to showcase everything that they've learned and really set themselves up for this fundraise. After they come into our alumni bucket, so they've graduated, we still keep in touch until they've secured that Series A funding. We only take an observer seat on their boards, so it's relatively light touch in that sense, but we do want to make sure that we see them across the finish line because we have a vested interest in their success. And this slide just summarizes some of the many partners that we have. I believe at the moment we have over 40, maybe even 50 strategic partners who offer either financing or favorable terms in this period to our companies to really set them up in the best way possible for that Series A investment. This is anything from marketing and PR to experiments or legal support, and a very wide network of mentors and Series A investors that we're constantly building and expanding. Importantly, the fact that we have Roche, Genentech, and Novartis on our side gives us access to just a wealth of knowledge and resources in order to choose the right companies, support them, and help them secure that additional funding. And finally, I want to end on this slide just to go through some hard numbers around how accelerators can be helpful. And it's always useful to put this in the context of all the accelerators that are available. And what's interesting is that this Boher study of, I think, over 1,000 accelerators in the UK found that corporate-sponsored accelerators, similar to Start Codon, end up graduating companies that have a higher average amount raised at Series A and a higher average pre-money valuation as well. So what you're looking at this slide is in gray, companies that were funded for a Series A investment that had no accelerator supporting them. In blue, you see companies that went through an accelerator program that did not have a corporate sponsor. And in pink, you see companies that went through corporate-sponsored accelerators like Start Codon. And what you find is really interesting is that just being in an accelerator per se does not actually lead to better outcomes. It's being in corporate-sponsored accelerators, and in particular by these two measures, actually increase the average amount raised at Series A and the average pre-money valuation. So ironically, choosing an accelerator is great, but you have to choose the right accelerator. And in some cases, you might end up worse off than if you've just received funding on your own rather than going through an accelerator to begin with. So not all accelerators are created equally. We're hoping to build what will become the gold standard for life science accelerators going forward. And these statistics, I think, really back up the importance of having strong corporate sponsors and partners. So I am happy to answer questions if there's time, and if not, please do get in touch with us, info@startcodon.co, or you can email me personally, jason@startcodon.co. And thank you everyone for listening.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. That was very insightful and very helpful. I'm sure there's lots of people listening or who will listen to this later that will find that really, really interesting. Let's see, we are a bit out of time. So I guess it's sort of up to, let's see, Alisa.
Yeah, why don't we add Alisa as a panelist, and then maybe at the end, if there's time, we can kind of, you could take questions together and maybe bounce ideas off each other and see where,
yeah, would
that
be
kind of where you overlap in terms of what you can offer and things like that.
If you're happy to stick around for another 10-15 minutes.
Happy to.
All right, great. Then we'll just do questions together at the end then. Cool. In which case we'll bring up Alisa Molotova from Cambridge Enterprise, which is another Cambridge-based accelerator. Cambridge Enterprise is part of the University of Cambridge, and it helps academics, researchers, staff, and students use commercial avenues to develop their ideas and expertise. And they say that liaising with organizations both locally and globally, Cambridge Enterprise offers expert advice and support in commercialization and social enterprise, including help with academic consultancy, the protection and development and licensing of new ideas, new company and social enterprise creation, and seed funding. So take it away, Alisa.
Hi, I apologize if my connection is a little patchy. Do please tell me. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I represent the seed funds. So I work for Cambridge Enterprise, and as you've already mentioned, we are the commercialization arm of the university. So we work with academics, researchers, staff, and students, and our primary goal is to achieve knowledge transfer. So Cambridge Enterprise is, it comprises kind of 3 units. So we have consultancy, where academics can carry out consultancy work for external organizations, technology transfer. So my commercialization colleagues deal with kind of licensing and IP questions and grant money. And in seed funds, we really work with early stage companies. So our primary mission is to start these companies and to nurture them. And unlike a traditional VC fund, our primary goal is not profit. Our primary goal is to commercialize these ideas and to benefit the society, the economy, and the university. And that was really what resonated a lot with myself when I was joining the team, is that we really stand for doing what is right. So we're not doing this for a huge bonus. We're doing this to really help our academics achieve their entrepreneurial aspirations. And our fund is evergreen, which means that whatever profits we make, we put into our next companies. So these are the stats from our previous year, but overall we make about 16 new investments. So half of them are life sciences, half of them are physical sciences. We also work with software startups. Recently we started focusing on kind of social enterprises and green initiatives as well. So if you have any ideas, do please get in touch with me afterwards. We currently have 109 portfolio companies. And yes, we're making a very great multiple back, which is great. That means that we can put more money into new companies. In terms of a TTO, we're actually doing amazingly well. So we are the top university by deals secured by spinouts, and we're also top by investment received by spinouts. So I think that's a very fantastic achievement. We have a very big team compared to many other TTO offices. So we're currently about 90 people, so that's 90. And I think in many universities, an average is about 5. So as you can see, you'll be very well supported if you do turn to us. And in terms of the support that we provide, it really depends on the company itself. So we're approached by academics who either are seasoned entrepreneurs, have already been there, done that, got a t-shirt, or first-time CEOs, and we really want to get involved as much as the company wants us to be involved. So in terms of support that we can provide is really working through this commercial proposition, developing a business model. We also have a very wide kind of net of mentors. So we work a lot with industry partners, co-investors. We're always very happy to connect them with the right people so that the companies can get it right from the very, very beginning. We also do investments, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. And yes, we also work a lot with co-investors. So I'll cover our checks a little later, but it's very important for us, for my team working in life sciences, is to have the right people around the table. So life sciences opportunities often require a lot of capital invested. So that means that university alone is not enough to support them. So we really need to make sure that there are people who can both provide financial support, but they also add value in terms of mentoring and advice. In terms of the ongoing support after the company is started or receives our investment, so we usually have a board seat or an observer seat. We also provide advice in terms of kind of IP and HR. We have an entrepreneur in residence who specifically focuses on talent. So if a company requires a CEO or someone with a bit more commercial experience or someone with a more kind of drug discovery experience, we really know where to find the right people for the team so that they complement each other. Yes, and obviously you have the backing of the University of Cambridge. So as investors, our terms are very founder friendly. We want to be on this journey together with the founders. And we will always kind of advise them if the terms that they are receiving from other investors are fair to everyone. Obviously, we would never tell the company what to do. We would just kind of say what we think is the right decision, but end of the day, it's really down to them. So here I have a slide about the size of our checks. So as a seed fund, we can support companies in kind of 2 ways. We can either provide convertible loans or an equity investment. So our loans can be either a 20K Pathfinder. So this is usually to support a company that is almost ready to go and talk to VCs, but there's some kind of a proof of concept experiment that is missing from their proposal. So this is really to bridge this gap before they are ready to proceed. We also provide our fast 50s, which are very often 75s. So this is for slightly more proof of concept experiments for the companies to carry out. And finally, our equity investments typically are 250K checks per funding round. We can invest up to $1 million into a company, and those 250K can be matched from our EIS co-investment fund. So that's kind of a tax relief break. And as you imagine, if for life sciences opportunities, especially if it's a drug discovery project, this is a relatively small amount that we invest. So we have quite a wide range of kind of amazing partners that work with us in exploring these opportunities. One of them is the Cambridge Innovation Capital, so they can definitely write bigger checks and yeah, follow on funds as well. And this is just an example of how our evergreen funds work. So if we start a successful company, they exit, everything's great, we make money, and we can now invest them into new opportunities. So everyone's very happy. And these are just some of our metrics. So on average, we review more than 100 opportunities a year. And so our seed funds team is relatively small. So we're about 8 people. And then the life sciences side, we're 4. At any time, we work on about 30 cases. And we do, as I mentioned, kind of 16 new investments and about the same follow-on investments. Currently, we have more than 12 non-executive director or observer seats held. And yes, these are just some graphs about our historical performance. As you can see, we are investing more and more each year, mostly because we do make the money from the exits, and that means that we can support more companies. And finally, these are more of our metrics, kind of showing that although we're very founder friendly, we are happy to take on the risk, and we still make profit, which is great. And these are just some of the examples of our equity portfolio. You might recognize a few of these companies. We also have some notable exits that were acquired by Illumina or Astellas. So yeah, these companies are doing amazingly well. And I would really like you to get in touch with us. If you're a university staff, student, or even if you've graduated recently, please do get in touch with us. We're very happy to provide you kind of advice and support in terms of kind of commercializing your ideas or starting companies. And I think we're pretty good at this. So here you can see my colleague Tanya receiving the Global University Venturing Award, where we've been, we have been nominated as the Investment Unit of the Year. So please get in touch. Our contact details are kind of on the university email lookup or through our website. Thank you.
See, thank you very much, Alisa. And now let's see if we can get Jason back on. And then, great. We have both of you. Okay, so thank you both for your presentations. Now we think we'll kind of try and do an impromptu like mini panel session. We do have one question from the audience come in, but I think it's for you, Jason, but I think we can make it into a question for both of you. So the question is, can you expand on the requirements to be supported by Start Codon? But we can make that into a question really about Cambridge Enterprise and Start Codon. What kind of people, companies, ideas do both of you look to support? Is there a specific stage you want these companies to be at already? Where should they start? What kind of requirements are you looking for?
Very good question, Alisa. If it's okay, I'll take a first stab. Yes?
Awesome.
Yeah, so for Start Codon, we're broadly interested in therapeutic, diagnostic, medtech, and digital health companies. So as long as you are in the life sciences and you have an opportunity or a technology or an idea that's applicable to healthcare, we're open to speaking to you, no matter how early. We like to see things that are either companies that exist already and maybe have some funding, all the way through to academics who are just coming up with an idea to begin with. But it needs to be life sciences with a healthcare focus. It doesn't mean that you can't have other applications, but that's our area of expertise. Also, when you spin out, if you haven't spun out already, you will need to have an English limited company. You could have a company, let's say from abroad, that wants to flip into the UK, that we can help set up a topco, this English limited company, but that's a requirement. You also have to be committed to a 6-month program in Cambridge physically. Now, for companies that have founders who are based outside of Cambridge, we're a bit more flexible, but you need to be able to see our smiling faces every week in Cambridge for that 6-month period. But beyond that, we are looking really very interested in disruptive platform companies. And as I said, we like to see things early so we can really help guide them and work on the business plan and get them up to speed. So we're not a business plan competition. We are always looking at rolling diligence and deal flow for determining who our companies are going to be. So please do get in touch if you're interested.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. And to you, Alisa, are there any specific types of companies, people, ideas that you look to?
Excellent. So we're agnostic in terms of what technologies come to us. We generally specialize in kind of deep tech, deep science opportunities, something with kind of very rich IP. That being said, we have started working on social enterprises. We have started working with the Department of Arts and Humanities. So really, if you have a good idea, come talk to us. We will definitely have at least pointers for the right people where to go. But we will see opportunities no matter how early they are. So if you are within remit, so if you're staff, student, or recent alumni, this is all free to you. So do use this resource.
Okay, thank you. And sort of spinning off of that conversation of one other question here, is there a particular point in your research career or research proceedings that you should be looking to translate your research to a new stage, whether that be clinical application or in your case, turning it into a business? So I guess like to you, does that mean, are you looking for people that are currently students or that already have a career established? Is there, or just in your experience, are there people that do better in these programs? What stage of your career or of your idea should you be in to start thinking about translating to a business idea?
Okay, I'll start. I don't think there's the perfect time to start a company, to be honest. I think the most important it is for the company to be ready. And it's kind of like how long is a piece of string? So the company has to have sufficient value already built up, I think. So one of the speakers, Nick, mentioned to kind of use translational funding. And I think it's a very great idea to keep this idea in the university setting for as long as possible, to do all the proof of concept experiments required, to have all of the IP sorted out, working with your TTO very closely, just so that the package is all done, so all the fundamentals are there before you start spinning it out. In terms of involvement in the company, it really depends. So obviously we have very established academics who eventually take more of a kind of scientific advisory role. Other academics are full-time CEOs. So I don't think there's kind of a right or wrong way of doing it, as long as it's right for the company and it's the right time for them to spin out.
Thank you. And do you have anything to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. So I would decide that it's never too early, just to emphasize that, never too early to start thinking about commercialization and translation. I would say from the moment that you have an idea, whether it's you think it's just blue sky research, you should start having conversations with your TTOs, with Start Codon, with others like us. Like I said, there are many accelerator programs out there and advisors, because it's all about making an impact in the world. So if you are more on the blue sky side of things, I think that's great, but you probably do have some translatable applications. And if you're in the biomedical sector already, you should be thinking of it from day one. And that can help inform your IP strategy as well as when you would like to spin out.
Okay, thank you. I think we have one more question that kind of rounds out this panel, but also the whole conference quite nicely. Throughout the conference, we've been talking about translating ideas from the lab, from the basic science, from the idea, into a company, into a business, into a tangible application. What are the prospects for going the other direction? If somebody decides to go commercial, decides to turn their idea into a company, we've been asked, what are the prospects for maybe wanting to go back to academia? Say you spend 6 months or a year developing an idea into a company, can you get back into research? Have you experienced that, or what are the prospects for that?
Maybe I'll start off with this one. I have several friends who've made that transition, where they've gone from academia into industry and back again. But also don't think that you have to have a black or white approach to it. I know plenty of people who are, let's say, postdocs, who decided that they want to be academics, but then work in companies part-time. I've seen people who've gone and founded companies, but still have close collaborative ties and relationships with the university, continue to publish, continue to apply for grants, so that no matter what happens, they're still building up the reputation and that clout to have some options in the future. So I would say that particularly in the world of translational research, if you've had industry experience and then you want to transition back into academia, it might actually make the journey easier, because as long as you're still in the, publishing results and still keeping in touch with the field, still attending conferences, still collaborating with some of the leaders in the field, it may actually ease your transition back in, because you can distinguish yourself from those who've only been academia the whole time. But then finally, just to put a point on it, I think you can have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't always have to be, I'm either academia or I'm industry. You could do both.
Awesome. That is a wonderful answer. Thank you. And do you have anything to add to that, Alisa?
I completely agree. I've known so many people who have made these transitions, and you can have it all. Honestly, you can have both a company and an academic career. It's really all about the balance and what's right for the person. So I think it's usually thought that once you leave academia, that's it. You can never go back. I think that's really not the case anymore. So people realize that having multiple careers is absolutely fine. And actually, the more hats you get to wear, actually, it really expands your knowledge and how things work, and it adds a lot of skill.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much for giving talks and participating in this mini panel. Before we wrap up the Accelerator session, I do want to say we had a couple other panelists lined up who aren't able to make it between the change of conference venue and change of timing. Coronavirus. We had representatives from Accelerate Cambridge that were interested in talking as well. Which is another Cambridge-based accelerator at the Judge Business School, but also representatives from the Office of Translational Research who work not with turning ideas into companies themselves, but that help people translate their research from lab to clinical settings and getting the training and resources necessary to do that. So if you're interested in that kind of a translation to your research, definitely reach out to the Office of Translational Research. They were very sad to have to miss this conference. But besides that, thank you very much for your input, and I'll turn it over to Coco to do closing remarks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is it for today, apart from some very important announcement about who has won the poster prize. So I'm going to switch my screen sharing on, but first I just wanted to bring attention to a couple of things on the website. So obviously, because today was not a physical conference, we didn't get to have things like programs and stuff like that. So we have made everything virtual. If you go to our website, there is a little, our officer who made the program was very sad that it didn't come to fruition, but it's now all online. So under the program tab on our website, you can see everything. And I guess it's sort of this welcome note that Ellie and I wrote, my co-chair, was we very much envisaged the conference being something along the lines of how, because it started in 2008 by graduate students who just wanted to increase awareness among researchers at Addenbrooke's, really, in the biomedical sector of what type of research is going on in the biomedical sector at Cambridge and what collaborations could be formed. And then, this year we thought, well, considering it's 2020, we're entering a new decade of medical innovation, how should we be discussing innovation? And our keynote, Indra Joshi, was going to touch on kind of more ethical, philosophical aspects of innovation. How can we be fair in our innovation? How do we ensure that there's global access to new devices? How do we ensure that we have, that we minimize bias in the data and in the algorithms that we're beginning to implement? But actually, I think today became more of a focus on research translation and how actually do we get ideas from research into the clinical setting, into the commercial setting. And we've also heard from people who, like Araceli and David, started out in completely different fields and have somehow made it into medical innovation. And I think that's probably the beauty of the sector, that it takes all kinds of minds to collaborate with each other and to draw the best out in each other in order to achieve a common goal, as I said earlier. But anyway, moving on to the very important announcement of poster prizes. So first of all, we were going to have a sticker treasure hunt where people could visit all of the stalls that we have up and around the conference and collect a sticker, put it on a piece of paper, and then we would draw one randomly out of a box. Well, instead of doing that, we decided to just draw a random person out from the attendee audience that we've had today. And so £15 is going to go to Rachel Foreman. Congratulations, luck is on your side. We'll talk about how we're going to get you the vouchers in an email after this. And then, drum roll, please. The poster prize winner is Anna Chaplin. Thank you to the Company of Biologists for... Oh, am I not screen sharing?
Click on.
sorry, minor technical difficulties in which it says that I'm screen sharing. Oh, hang on, let me see. Can you chat to me and tell me if I'm screen sharing the poster presentation? Oh. Let me see. Let's start this again. Do you see slides now? Okay, well. So we have the winner of the £15 voucher is Rachel Foreman. We will talk to you about that afterwards via email about how we'll get it to you. And the poster prize winner, with thanks to Company of Biologists for sponsoring the poster prize this year. The winner was Anna Chaplin, and the runner-up, Alexandra. So congratulations to you both, and thank you very much to everyone who submitted a poster. Actually, the standard was pretty good this year, which we really enjoyed seeing, and it was nice to see all the different types of research that are going on around among early career researchers. And also this year was one of the rare years that we'd implemented the poster pitch presentations, which actually went really well. Most people stuck to the 2-minute limit, so that was good. And we hope you enjoyed the opportunity to present verbally. And then finally, we must thank our sponsors this year. We've had Merck, the Company of Biologists, Promega, the Gurdon Institute, VWR, and the Institute of Medical Ethics. And we've also had considerable donations from the University of Cambridge departments, as well as outside of Cambridge and many of our colleges. And of course, a special thanks to Tony, our patron, who is always very generous every year. And I hope you were able to catch his opening remarks this morning. So that leaves a thanks to the committee this year. All of their lovely faces are here. They put in tremendous effort in getting this off of the ground, and also in the last 24 hours of deciding not to hold the physical conference, but to go virtual instead, trying different platforms, making sure everyone was aware of what was going on. It was a fantastic team effort. So everyone should give them a round of applause virtually. Lastly is feedback. Every year we try to collect as much feedback as possible so that the next year's committee know how to improve. And because BBMS has been running for 12 years now, the only way is up, but we can only do that if attendees tell us what we could do better next time. Obviously this year it's a bit different because we promised a lot of things that never came to fruition, but hopefully we gave you extra things which normally wouldn't have been possible if we hadn't gone virtual. So write down your thoughts and comments in this feedback form. If you can't use the QR code, then there will be links sent around in an email after this. So don't worry if you're fiddling about trying to use a QR code right now. And then, as I mentioned, BBMS is an annual event, and we're always looking for new committees to run the event and set it up. So we're starting off with chair and vice chair applications. Ellie and I will be conducting interviews in the next couple of months. If you think, yes, this is something I would want to take on, it's really fun. You learn a lot about the process of organizing an event, of finding speakers, coming up with a theme, working in a team. It's a great chance to kind of get your head out of your PhD or your project or whatever you're working on. So I highly recommend it. And indeed, if you think, I'd rather be the venue officer because I really like doing that aspect of organizing an event, those options will be available as well in the near future. So once again, thank you very much to everyone who followed us around the internet on various platforms, made it here, listened to all of the talks. You are the true heroes in this, because without you, we wouldn't be holding the conference in the first place. So a big thank you to all of our devoted attendees. And this will have been all recorded, which we will put onto the website. We did send out an email to some of the poster presenters and to some of the speakers. If you're not happy for your video to go out online, just let us know. That's no problem. I think we can edit the video, and we'll make sure that everyone's happy with what gets shared. But apart from that, it's thank you from me and all of the committee, and we hope you enjoyed the conference.